Damn, man. It seems like the Raiders' turnover rate in the front office is worse than an Amazon fulfillment center. The way we've just been hiring and firing head coaches and GMs, and at the end of the day, looking like the same product year in and year out. It's just crazy. Just when you thought that Tommy T's job was safe over here in Las Vegas, the Raiders drop a bomb today and announcing that they will be parting ways with general manager Tom Telesco just after one season. Now, this comes just days after Antonio Pierce got fired, which comes as a surprise to many because we all thought that Tom Telesco would be keeping his job for the next season. I mean, why wait to fire Tom Telesco if you're already going to fire him? You might as well have fired him with Antonio Pierce. Or why even let him go and inquire about future head coaches if you're going to fire him? Heck, why even have AP do a presser if you were going to fire AP as well? It just kind of seems like the Raiders don't really know what they're doing at this point, that they're just kind of going with the flow. It just doesn't make sense at all. Then again, this has Tom Brady's name written all over it. Maybe we underestimated how much power he has in the front office. At the end of the day, though, we're just going to have to sit back for the ride and see where the Raiders are going to take us this offseason, because it's definitely going to be a crazy offseason. It's going to be a crazy ride, going out and trying to find another GM, going out and finding another head coach to come and lead this Raiders just a year after we hired a new head coach and GM. It's just crazy to me, man. But then again, I am kind of excited to see what the next moves are going to be, especially with Tom Brady at the helm. And who knows? Maybe Tom Brady was like, you know what? There can only be one Tom in this building. And he sent Tom Telesco's jabroni ass out of the building packing. Like I said before, this move really stunned a lot of Raider fans, shocked a lot of Raider fans, including me, because we've all talked about Antonio Pierce. We kind of seen the writing on the wall with him as the weeks went on. And even with Mark Davis coming out and saying that AP and Tom Telesco were both hired individually, they will not be affected. One firing will not affect the other, and that's what I thought would happen, especially with AP being fired. We all thought, okay, Tom Telesco is going to run it back and we're going to see what he does. He had a solid draft this past year, you know, getting Brock Bowers, getting JPJ, getting DJ Glaze, and even signing some big names in free agency with Christian Wilkins, brought in some solid dudes, during the season, making some waiver claims for the Jonah Laulu, and even bringing in Caleb Von Chase on. Now, I know with all those great moves, he also made some boneheaded ones, like signing Gardner Minshew to a big contract just to make him the starter, and even going out and getting Desmond Ridder when the Raiders needed a quarterback. With that said, though, the Raiders did make this move official by posting this on their social media, saying the Las Vegas Raiders have relieved Tom Telesco of his duties as general manager. We appreciate his efforts in helping build a foundation for the future. We wish Tom and his family all the best. Again, those are just words at the end of the day. It's just kind of crazy that the Raiders can't even post a picture of these guys, AP or even Tom Telesco, saying goodbye to them and thanking them. It just seems like the Raiders are just going to move on and try to go and find the right candidates moving forward, which they should. But damn, man, have a little bit of heart, have a little bit of grace, man. Just send them off and have a little thank you video. Okay, who am I kidding? I'm just trying to be nice, man. Now, where does this leave the Raiders? Again, as surprising as this move is to a lot of people, the one frustrating thing about it for me is the fact that the Raiders are so quick to move on. This was another one and done situation with both, AP and Tom Telesco. I voiced my opinions on AP and giving him another chance because, I just don't want to have another hire and firing, Give AP a chance to go out and try to prove himself. You can't really do that in one season. Even though he made some boneheaded decision throughout the offseason last year and even throughout the season, I still felt like he should at least get another chance. But as far as for Tom Telesco, I don't really agree with this move. I might not agree with it, but I do kind of understand it at the same point. Tom Telesco really did a great job in the draft, like I stated before, in an area where the Raiders have struggled in for many, many years, especially during the John Gruden era. We hit on 3 solid picks back to back in the first 3 rounds. And after that, it was all over the place. But if I can say anything positive about Tom Telesco is that he did build a bit of a foundation over here in the silver and black. Brock Bowers is going to be a Hall of Famer. If nothing happens to him, knock on wood, if he has an injury-free season or injury-free career, we could see him do great things in the silver and black. We just need to go out and get a quarterback. Now, does this change anything going into the draft? I don't really think so. It's just that we're going to be looking at the draft a little bit differently with whoever we bring in as the head coach and the GM, which is going to be really, really interesting to see. But just leave it up to the Raiders to be the Raiders, because this is what we're used to. We're used to seeing the Raiders moving on from coaches and head coaches. And we've had 11, I don't even know, but I think 6 head coaches in the last 11 years. I might be mistaken, but the turnover rate, like I said before, it's really, really crazy. We have no stability here in Las Vegas. And it's sad because you got guys like Max Crosby who's pouring his heart out, trying to be the best that he can be, give his 100% to this team, and going out there and trying to win games for whoever we bring in the front office, whether it's a new coach, a new head coach, new defensive coordinator, new quarterback. He's been dealing with that every single season. I think he's had 5 different head coaches in the 6 years that he's been a Raider. Crazy. And the only other Raider that had to deal with a lot of stuff like that was Derek Carr. But on top of that, Max Crosby did give his thoughts on the team, the current state of the team, and even on Antonio Pierce being fired as the Raiders head coach on his podcast, The Rush. Shout out to The Rush and my Usos over there. I'm going to play the clip right here.
I was very vocal. You know what I mean? I believed in AP. This season didn't go the way anybody expected it, to be honest. It's tough. This business is not easy. You know what I mean? And from the coaching side and front office and just constant turnover, especially, being here, being with the Raiders. Like I've seen I'm going to be on a new head coach again. First and foremost, shout out to AP. Big shout out to AP. I wish him the best. Hope his family, everything. Cause people don't, the real human element to it, it's not easy. You know what I mean? He just signed a deal, and now he's got to completely change everything. And just wish them the best and everything, going forward.
And there's nothing more that you can do but feel for the Oos, because I know that he wants to be here, but damn, if the Raiders don't do nothing soon, man, who knows if we'll see the last of Max Crosby in the silver and black. I'm not trying to put any rumors out there or anything. I'm just saying. But getting back to the GM talk, I do believe that Tom Brady and Mark Davis are going to start with a clean slate. Moving forward, this is a clean sweep. The Raiders fire both their head coach and their GM, but I do feel like they might wait on who they bring in as the head coach, because I feel like that's gonna determine who we have as the GM. They might handpick their GM. So I feel like the Raiders are gonna still go forward with their head coaching hirings and seeing who they bring in. It is gonna be interesting to see who they bring in, but also seeing who they're gonna pair them up with at the GM position. Now, with that said, though, what other GM options are out there for the Raiders to possibly bring in? I kind of put a list together of different names on here. One name to start off with is Champ Kelly. Of course, we know that he was our interim head coach, or our interim GM, just last season when Antonio Pierce got called up, and he came back and signed with the team as an assistant GM to Tom Telesco. So who knows if the Raiders want to keep it in-house and bring him in, but we know for sure that he should at least get an interview with the team to see if he could possibly be the next GM. Now, another name on the list is Ian Cunningham, Bears assistant GM as well. He's been an executive with 2 Super Bowl champion teams with the Eagles and the Ravens. You got John Spytek, Bucks assistant GM. He's one guy that contributed to building a team that won in Super Bowl 55 with the Buccaneers. The biggest signings that he had, building that team was bringing in JPP, bringing in Ndamukong Suh, bringing in Shaquille Barrett, Gronkowski, and of course, yours truly, Tom Brady. And then also after the Tom Brady era, he brought in guys like Baker Mayfield to come in and help that team go back to the playoffs after the Brady era. And then he has a relationship with Tom Brady, so I could see that there. So, him and knowing that he did interview for the Raiders back in 2022 before they hired Dave Ziegler, there's a little bit of history and relationship there. So he could be one guy that could get the job. One name out there that's kind of like one of my favorite names, if we're able to get him, is John Dorsey, Lions senior exec. He built 2 different franchises into playoff contenders, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Browns. Some of the key pieces that he drafted in Kansas City include Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, and Travis Kelce. And some key pieces that he drafted in Cleveland, Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, and Nick Chubb. And so he definitely has an eye for talent. So if we want somebody that we can trust in the draft, John Dorsey could be that guy for you. And especially sitting at number 6, there's a lot of options out there. And I believe that the Raiders can build a solid team depending on who we bring in. Now, Lance Newmark is another name, a Commanders assistant GM. He was hired by the Commanders in 2024, helped the team from 4-13 to 12-5 going into the playoffs. I mean, look at the Raiders situation right now. We are 4-13, and we hope to make a jump like that going 12-5. We just need a quarterback. But he has 26 years with the Lions, worked with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn in Detroit, and he could possibly be one of those GM pairings if the Raiders do sign Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn from Detroit to be the head coach, the next head coach of the Raiders. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, some other names out there, Mike Borgonzi from the Chiefs, Ryan Cowding, Terrence Gray, Trey Brown, of course, the list is going to go on, but I feel like the Raiders, there's definitely going to be a lot of solid options for the Raiders. It's just wondering who that guy's going to be. Now, do I believe that this was the right move for the Raiders to move on from Tom Telesco? Like I stated before, no, I didn't think so, because I feel like he was solid for us, but I do understand the move. I understand that Tom Brady and Mark Davis wants to move in a different direction. They want to go and get their guy. Mark Davis is just going to do what Tom Brady wants to do, and hey, he's going to sit back for the ride and just trust him. This could either be the greatest thing to happen for this franchise with Tom Brady making all these moves, or it could be the worst thing, for this franchise, and it sets us back even more. But I mean, we've been losing for so long that what difference does it make, right? Tom Brady was the guy that kind of ruined our franchise back, going all the way back to the Tuck rule. So it'd be ironic if Tom Brady was the reason why the Raiders franchise turns around and become contenders. So that's something that I really, really do hope for. Now, with all that being said, I want to kind of go over some of the head coaches that the Raiders are set to interview, because I know a lot of it came out yesterday. I didn't really get to make a video on that, but we all know that AP is out the door, so that leaves open a big void for the Raiders moving into 2025. And I believe that the Raiders have a lot of different options at the head coaching position, and I feel like even though a lot of people might not think that this is really a job a lot of people want, this is Las Vegas, baby. You're going to be working under Tom Brady. And you got the number 6 pick in the draft with a lot of cap space, with some solid players on this team to build around. I do think that this Raiders team can turn around just like the Commanders did this past season. You just got to bring in the right pieces and definitely find the quarterback of the future. Now, the Raiders have went out and acquired for former Jets head coach Robert Saleh. He's going to be interviewing with the team on Friday. They even reached out to Bill Belichick. There's reports going around that Tom Brady tried to hit a big bill and see if he wanted to come over here to Las Vegas to work under him. Those rumors quickly got shot down because, Bill Belichick quickly said that, he's happy where he's at, and I don't think that he would sign with UNC just to leave them. So I don't see that happening at all, but who knows? Tom Brady might still want to go get him and change his mind. The Raiders also went after Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. I'm not really keen on that if the Raiders wanted to go in that direction, but the Raiders did go and inquire about the Lions offense coordinator and defense coordinator Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Now, I know that Ben Johnson is one name that a lot of Raider fans want to bring, that a lot of Raider fans want as the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, and he is going to be a hot name this offseason, with what he's been doing over there in Detroit and what he can do for a new team. The ceiling is there. I'm one guy that still wants to shy away from getting a first-time head coach, even though Ben Johnson is a really, really great name to bring in. And I don't even know if he would want to come over here to the Raiders. And I'm even surprised that he even took an offer to interview with the Raiders. But him and Aaron Glenn's going to be interviewing with the team on Friday. And maybe it's the Tom Brady effect. Maybe Tom Brady is making a lot of these guys think about coming over here to Las Vegas. But those are two solid options. Now, another guy was Ravens offense coordinator Todd Monken. And he's a guy that, say what you may say, man, he's a really, really sneaky name, man. He's got 3 decades of coaching experience between the college and the pros. He's a guy that actually worked with Brock Bowers in Georgia, back in 2022. Made Brock Bowers one of the biggest household names in college football at the tight end position. He even helped Stetson Bennett with his time over there in Georgia. And this is his 2nd season with the Ravens. And he's already helping elevate Lamar Jackson's game. Lamar Jackson this year is posting career high in passing numbers, 41 touchdowns and 4,127 yards. So, I mean, he's an underrated name that a lot of people are talking about, but one guy that I wouldn't mind bringing over here. Again, he will be a first-time head coach, so I don't know too much about that. But of course, Mike Vrabel is going to be the biggest name out there. That's one name that we've talked about a lot, and he's a guy that I wouldn't mind bringing over here. He's definitely going to be my favorite guy for the job. With that relationship with Tom Brady, with the vibes he brings in, and just that leadership that he brings, and just that experience that he brings, I'd rather go out and get him. Now, another name that's been a dark horse, of course, has been primetime Deion Sanders possibly coming to the NFL. And he said that he wouldn't come to the NFL if he wasn't going to be coaching his sons. And if he does come to Las Vegas, he has a strong possibility to, get his 2 sons, Shiloh and Shador, if he was to move up in the draft. So those are everything that's been going on today and yesterday. So with that said, I don't want to waste any more of your time, Raider Nation. What are your thoughts on Tom Telesco getting the boot? And what are your guys' thoughts on possibly hiring the next head coach? Who is your number 1 guy that you'd rather hire? Let me know down in the comments below. Until the next one, this is your boy, Small Raider, and your boys. Yeah.